if you have $2.2 million, you could own a piece of Blacksburg history, right? Former football coach Frank Beamer's home is for sale, and what a story it would have to tell.
10 News reporter Shane Dwyer took a tour of the Hokie house with the man himself. Shane joins us now in studio. What a really neat opportunity to be able to see Frank Beamer's house.
Yeah, you know, you walk through his front door, Brittany and John, and there's very few houses you can walk in and just be like, I can feel the history just standing around me. Beamer's house, there you see it there. A beautiful mansion in the Blacksburg Country Club tucked in the mountains. The house and the history more intertwined with Blacksburg than you may think. Tucked in the mountains just outside Blacksburg is a castle fit for royalty. Yeah, you got it. And the arguable King of Blacksburg, Frank Beamer, is ready to hand over the keys.
It's just too much house, and we've enjoyed it here. It's been great. But we're going to try to downsize a little bit and get it more to what we really need right now.
Frank and his wife built this home in Blacksburg Country Club about 20 years ago. They raised their family here, and it is just as connected to Hokie football as Lane Stadium.
You know, the games, if you won them, you celebrated here. If you lost them, you kind of got away from people and got to next week.
Coach showed us around the house, which features a virtual driving range, theater room, Hokie loft, and $1 million backyard view, which the empty nesters just aren't using as much these days. It also served as the recruiting and entertaining headquarters, which the Beamers are doing a whole lot less of.
Being in this house and getting into the ACC and being a part of all the bowl games and so forth, you know, just been a lot that kind of went hand in hand.
Home to the Beamers and home to Beamer Ball, which helps spur a lot of the growth we're seeing today. While the house isn't everything, if these walls talk, it's unimaginable the stories they would tell.
You know, I'm proud to have been a part of the growth at Virginia Tech, and there's a lot of people that went into that.
And he's not going anywhere. The Beamers are staying in town. They just haven't decided what to call home next.
Cleared a lot here.
There's been some serious interest in the home. In fact, a realtor was showing to potential buyers before we arrived. We had to wait in the car out front because they were taking care of business inside. Coach Beamer says any friendly discounts, however, would have to be negotiated through his wife. In the studio, Shane Dwyer, 10 News, working for you.